All right, Senor Ortiz, we are live. Are you ready to do this, brother?
Let's do it, bro.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the AdminisTraders Podcast, featuring your host, Mr. Kendrick Thomas, and my co-host, Mr. Jose Ortiz. This information is used for educational purposes only.
What do KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the AdminisTraders Podcast with my co-host, Senor Jose Ortiz, the other half of KT and
Jojo, baby.
Hey. We are in the building. Y'all, it's time to get to work. So, woo, crazy day today. Man, when you talk about roller coaster, the thing went up. And then it went down, and then it went up again, and then it finished down. But as you can see, when we get ready to check our heat map, things ain't all bad as it seems. Now, is it time to buy the dip yet? I don't know, y'all. But when I tell you it's definitely a dip in my account, oh, my God. I put out something the other day, Jose, man. I think it showed, because I always like to show my wins because I want people to get locked in on the podcast. But then the other day, I showed the losses because you got to show everything. And so, man, we talking about 11K. Damn, man. Look, I'm still kind of hurt from that situation, man. But how you doing today, brother? How was the market? How was the work? Everything.
Work was good. Today was a good day at work. Had some summatives done today. Got those knocked out. Yeah, about 3 of them today. A little light on the trading because, I want to see where this dip goes. I think we are pretty close to buying the dip. When you get into that heat map, when you get into that fear and greed, we swung up a little bit on that fear and greed chart today.
Yes, we did.
But, exciting. I made some account moves. And so I got some money freed up and, I'm going to try to get in there and, make some things happen.
Look, man, I tell you, I don't know when is going to be the time. I want to show, and I'll show everybody. I think I'll try to pull it up, but I got, of course, I got the earnings calendar pulled up. So we'll kind of look a little bit at the earnings calendar and what's going on in that situation. But then we'll also take a look at, I guess, some of the news as far as the data that's going to come out. I know Wednesday we got a little data that's going to come out, but Thursday we got GDP. And so if you know anything about the market and you've been looking since the inflation has been killing us, GDP has the power to move the market up or down depending on the information. But the biggest thing too is we got earnings this week. So we got Tesla tomorrow, we got Apple, we got Meta, we got Microsoft. So many earnings that's coming up that can either grow the bag or diminish the bag. Hold up. When you talk about that, you can go either way here. All right, so first thing we'll do, y'all, for the show today, I guess we'll kind of get into a preview, making sure we go through our heat map. We got to go through our fear and greed. It's been a lot going on with that. Also with the VIX, I know over the weeks we've talked about the VIX being about 11, 12. The VIX has jumped all the way up to $16, $17. And remember what we said, VIX is the volatility index. And so how much movement is going into the market, the higher the VIX, the scarier it is out in these streets. And so if we get a VIX over 20, man, I think I would just close my account for a few days. I promise y'all. All right, so let's get into some news. And then we'll come back and let's talk about it. Wait a minute, before we even start, I'm going to just get to... just let y'all know what this news is gonna be about. Let's go. Today's news. Let's take a look. And tomorrow we have Tesla earnings coming out. And so I wanted to kind of give everybody a preview. Tesla has been getting killed over the last how many months we've been in this thing, man? Since the beginning of the year. And so we'll have a chance to look. And so according to Forbes, they say here's what to look for in Tesla's crucial earnings report Tuesday. Tesla does report tomorrow after the market close. And so let's kind of take a look at what's going on. So as you know, there are unusually high stakes surrounding the earnings report. Tesla has missed on deliveries, and now they're dropping the price on the cars even more. You think that they wouldn't have any more room, but yes, so the price is dropping because competition is becoming so fierce, especially in China. Competition is becoming very, very fierce, and so they are losing a lot of their market share. You think about cars like Toyota or Honda, who's really kind of making the hybrids, and so they're kind of getting their market share. But looking, consensus analysts forecast 49-cent earnings per share, which be Tesla's least profitable quarter since 2021 second quarter. Estimates of 22 billion indicate the worst overall sales since 22's third quarter, and estimates of a 5% year-over-year decline in revenue will mark Tesla's first negative annual sale growth since 2020 second quarter. Man, I remember doing that 2020, man. That thing ran. As consensus already breaks in brutal quarter reflected in the dismal start to the year, likely the more intriguing event Tuesday is the earnings call featuring Musk, which Wedbush analyst Dan Ives recently declared one of the most important moments in the company's history. And so to put that into context, what happens is they have the earnings. You see how much they made or lost per share. But even what's more important to that is the earnings call, right? So when they get on the conference call, this is where they talk about the outlook for what's coming up. This is where, he talked about the robo-taxi. So we'll learn more about the robo-taxi. We'll learn kind of what is the outlook for Tesla and how will they hold it. Considering Tesla is clearly grappling with a cyclical downturn, analysts largely agree there are two major areas must address to massage worst-case scenario ideations and convince investors Tesla is indeed between two major growth waves. And as I stated, the robo-taxi, its proposed network of cabs running on autonomous driving technology. And Jose, when we talk about the robo-taxi, what they are saying, and I want you to help me if I'm tripping here, but what they are saying is the robo-taxi, I got a Tesla. I go drive my car to work. While I'm not at work and I'm at home, my car will leave the house by itself and become a robo-taxi and then come back home at the end of the night.
Absolutely.
Now, did you think that's different?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's or self-driving technology where even if it's not yours, taxi cabs, think about taxi cabs that we have now. And so now you're going to have taxis without drivers, So
yeah. And I see some they had some with the cruise that I would see downtown. I remember going to a House of Blues concert one night, and a few of those cruises picked people up, but I think they took them off because they were starting to have problems. And so that's why it's so important for Elon Musk tomorrow to kind of really talk about what's going on. So he said the autonomous, so its proposed network of cabs running on the autonomous driving technology, which Musk said Tesla is going balls to the wall for, and the Model 2s, which is long anticipated cheaper electric vehicle line. So what they were trying to do was they're consistently trying to make these cars more affordable for the average person. And so the Model 2 is what's supposed to be I want to say the top tier, most affordable car, which will still give you that luxury of a Tesla. But I want to say around $20,000 or somewhere up in there. And so right now you can get one, you can get like a Model Y, but the rebates is what you get from the government, what makes it cheaper in the 20s, but it'll be 30s. But they're saying that they're trying to come up with this Model 2 to be able to have where the average person can get one. Now, one big thing that happened this weekend was the recall on a Tesla truck. Were you able to see that?
Yeah.
Little dude. I'm very worried, bro. I'm very worried. Like when you think about almost 100 shares in straight cash, when you think about options, look, dude, if it's gonna get ugly, it's gonna get ugly. All right. Man, what you got to say about this, Jose?
Man, I got one. Call me the gambling man or whatever you want to say. Tesla is almost 80% down.
Yeah.
It's at least half of what it was not too long ago.
Yeah.
We're talking about almost a $300 stock.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yes.
And I know that, trucks been recalled and the doom and gloom. But, I was having this conversation this weekend with my homeboy Nate, and, they do more than just vehicles.
Yes.
And so, everywhere you're looking, you're seeing Tesla electricity, Tesla solar, whatever you want to, put out there. They are generating different and more, income than just, vehicles. So with that being said, I'm careful. I'm going to play it tomorrow during the market, see what happens. Whatever I am holding is, considerably out till June. And so I have an opportunity to either get rid of it without taking too big of a hit or, adding to the position. But if we run tomorrow during the day, which I think could run up until, earnings, because Tesla's was down again today. And so I think he's going to say something during this call to make people believe, in my opinion.
We're going to find out, man. We
We're
will
gonna
find
learn tomorrow.
because hey, it could get rough tomorrow, man. Y'all make sure y'all get locked in. Man. But if it does drop, like Jose said, please believe that Tesla is more than a car company. You think about the Tesla bot that's coming out, which is their own human that they're trying to put in. I mean, not human, but Android, whatever, robot put into people's house, right? So you got your Tesla bots coming up, the taxis. What they said this morning was it's got to be level 5 technology. Tesla is not there. By August, they said they will preview some things for the robo taxi. So we'll see how much they play it up tomorrow, but it is going to be definitely an important call for the Tesla family. Man, okay, so we'll close that out. But not before. I want us to look at what else is coming tomorrow for earnings. So let's see here. So now, if you can kind of look at the screen, you will see this is our earnings chart for tomorrow. So today, we had a few going out. You had your Verizon's before market, and Verizon took a big hit today. After Cleveland Cliffs, you think about industrials. At the end of the day, the world is keep going to keep building. So Cliffs was out, Cadence. And so I was looking at Cadence today. I didn't want to play earnings because that's gambling, but Cadence was out today. And so you think about the people who are partnered up with NVIDIA. Cadence Design Systems is one of those people who are partnered up. So I haven't had a chance to go in and look at that stock. Once we get looking at the heat map, we'll be able to see a little bit more of what's going on with that stock. In the morning, before market opens, we have GM, UPS, GE, PepsiCo. Remember, if you remember a few episodes back, remember we said PepsiCo is one of your dividend kings. So let's look and see how they do, but still remembering the importance of being in there for your dividends. Spotify will be dropping tomorrow. JetBlue, and then you think about what's been going on with the oil, what's been going on with the Middle Seas. So we'll do a little bit of Halliburton. Now, Monday and Tuesday morning, those are pretty much bluffs. What we're talking about starts after the market closes on Tuesday. So you see Tesla will be reporting, Visa, Enphase Energy. That's another one that will be able to kind of talk about what's going on, looking at the market and the atmosphere around us, how is oil looking, and what's going on with the energy section. Texas Instruments. If you was any kind of student in school, you had that TI-83. So let's see Let's see what they talk about tomorrow. We got Chubb, Seagate, Baker Hughes, Weatherford, and Mattel. Then after you come over here, Wednesday morning, we got Boeing. That should be a good one, pretty big one right there. Next, after close Wednesday, we have Meta, we have IBM. I really want to take a look at IBM. They have a lot of growth ahead of them. They are partnering up with other companies to be able to take their chips and all their information big. So this could be one to look at for the future. I think the price is right now in a good range if you want to scoop up for long term. Then you got your Pote. We got your Pote coming out. I'm looking forward to this one, right? Because I do have remember one stock of Chipotle is right now, I think it's $2,900. So of course I only got one. I'm sorry, but that one in June will turn into 50, which is why I'm just holding that one. I'll probably ride it up, catch that break when it goes, which is my plan, and turn that one into 50. Will be the same price whenever stock does a split. It's pretty much the same price, just divided by 50. If you listened a few episodes ago, we talked about Kava versus Chipotle. So they're really trying to make their stock comparable with Kava because people are buying that Kava because it's more cheaper, right? And pretty much the same concept. So that's what Chipotle was doing. Next, we got Lam Research. A lot of chips. So Lam Research has really went up. I remember Lam Research being 400. Then, of course, all the chips came, the CHIPS Act, all of that. Lam Research went up to maybe $800, $900. They have did a pullback since the market is falling. So that'll be one to look at. Then Thursday is cracking. It's cracking, y'all. We got Microsoft, we got Google, we got Intel, we got Roku. So many coming through. And then on Friday, this is going to be big because if you ain't noticed, gas has went up. So ExxonMobil, we got Chevron, a lot of the healthcare stocks. So make sure you get locked into those earnings this week. But tomorrow after market is when it is going to get super crazy. So y'all, let's have our head on a swivel and be ready for some of this information in this market, man. Any outlook from your end? What you seeing for them earnings, Jose? Anything you looking for?
Yeah, a couple of things that I'm watching: Tesla, of course, Boeing, Meta, IBM. But my big cat right now is Microsoft. I own a lot of Microsoft. I hope they crush earnings and actually go up. But one of the dark horses, dogs in the fight, or even something that could pull down everything, Texas Instruments. Let's be careful with that because if you own AMD, NVIDIA, TSM, ASMI, anything, Intel that deals with the semiconductor chips, if Texas Instruments hits earnings or if they miss earnings, could be, something that affects everything else, including that Lam Research, them too, if they hit or miss. Something that other shareholders of other stocks are going to be watching. So, be careful when playing those earnings. You never want to gamble through earnings unless you have it long term, where it might not affect you as much if you're going to, hold it after the earnings hit. But if you do play earnings and you happen to get a good hit, don't be greedy.
Yeah. Hey, get out of here. See profit, take profits. All right, and now we got one more section before we take a quick break and get into our heat checks and all those pieces. So the reason why I like this Discord, right, is because not only do I get to see all this information, but I get to understand what are the people with the big money doing. And so these are what we call our whales, right? And so I'll just take us back. We look at what's going on here. And when we look at the whales, we got this app called Whale Stream. Look today, Coinbase. So if you looked Bitcoin last week, they just finished the halving last week. So Now, what they did was took a lot of the coins off the market today. If you look, people are now betting on Coinbase or Bitcoin to go back up because it's a direct revelation or whatever you want to call it, direct connection. So they're saying that they bought 92 calls at $1,205 that expire pretty much next week, right? And when we're looking at this, we always want to look at what are the whales doing, not what are they saying, because I want to see where your money is. We think about Lululemon, them $70 yoga pants. What's happening? This was a direct confluence of playing earnings. So I was in here and I said, Lululemon, they got to come back. We're playing earnings. Lululemon had earnings, got crushed, and that call is down $500, may I say. But they're expecting more downside on Lululemon, so they bought 184 calls at $5.65 times 100, which is $565 to expire 5/17. And I look at another one. We got earnings on Meta this week, right? So when you think about the whales, where are they putting the money? And so one whale dropped $100,000 on Meta to go up, right? And so they bought a call, $100. They bought it at $485. They are expecting Meta to go to $535. And so remember what I told you, the premium that they paid was $102,000. And so our last one, which is good for me, that makes me want to kind of get a little loose here, because they got the QQQ. And so when you think about all your tech stocks, QQQ is a mixture of those. And so they bought 4,852 calls at $39 per call. Wow. So they're saying right now, they bought it at $420. They're expecting it to go to $455. And the premium that they spent for that was $189,200. And so these are just some of the insiders that we get to see once we're inside of the Discord, kind of looking at the at what are the whales doing. Because remember what I said, it's not about what they say, it's about what they do and where are they putting that money. All right, y'all, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, let's get into some of our heat maps. And then after that, we'll get into some of these candlesticks. So keep it locked. We'll be right back.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
Oh man, okay. Oh, hold on, wait a minute, Jose. I gotta get this thing right, man. Y'all ready to get into some? My God, where we at, man? I can't even find none of the information on here, man. All right, heat check. Oh, wait a minute, man. I can't find the heat check, bro. Where we at? Inside of the heat check, we like to look at our fear and greed index. We like to look at our VIX, and we like to look at our heat map. All of these pieces are just parts of the puzzle to tell you what to look for when you're trading. Remember, these are not the only things that we use when we trading, but as you listen to our conversation, you can kind of see how we kind of reason on what's going on in the market and how we can look to make the moves tomorrow, as this will give us a little preview of what's going on. And so I want to start with our fear and greed index. Jose, man, you want to stab this one?
Man, I tell you what, we are sitting at a 38 right now. Earlier today, we were at around a 26, 27. So we kind of moved up a little bit today. But actually, we were at 31. See, at the top, it says 31 for the previous close. Mm-hmm. So, I think that we're headed. I think we're a little mixed right now. But keep in mind that for a long, long time, we were in the greed section, and now we've spent about a week in fear. And I really do believe that we had that market transition a week ago with the war We had, soft earnings. We had some banks that started reporting. And so I think a lot of that led into what was continuing to be a sell-off or a drop-off in the market. I was also talking to someone over the weekend where you see a 10% discount or a 10% drop in the market. You want to consider that healthy. If you think about where SPY or the S&P was at 530 almost, and we're not quite 10% from that down. But at the same time, last week, we were only about $9, $10 up on the year on SPY. So I think it's kind of in an area in which I do believe here pretty soon we'll go down just a little bit, and we'll have a buying opportunity. So with that being said, and where the fear is right now, I think we can see a couple of things. One, with Tesla reporting earnings tomorrow, and it is a heavy driver of the S&P, of the market. I believe that if we are going to extend closer into the extreme fear, it's going to be driven by Tesla tomorrow. I think that if we are at the point where we are still going to continue to go down, it will happen tomorrow. And for the next, and like KT said, we got a report coming out on Thursday. So if those two things happen with your other earnings this week, we could get to that extreme fear where it could be by the dip time. Contrary, though, if the market feels like it's time to in a positive, which I'm more sentimental toward that right now, based on just the volatility that we've seen in the past 2 weeks. I think we react positively to earnings this week. I think we get back to neutral, and then we get back to greed before we start going back on a, sell-off for the summer, quick summer sell-off, going into that July. That's what I see. But like I said, I can see it both ways. But you always have to find a catalyst in the market. You always have to find, for another short of another term, manipulation. And that manipulation right now, we had the war last week. And I'm not saying that they're doing all that to manipulate the market in the aspect of giving everybody goosebumps about a war. But I'm just saying the market needs certain catalysts to go either way. And with that last week, and then with earnings of Tesla tomorrow, I think those will be some of the things that the market responds to, up or down. But we're looking to see what actually happens with those earnings and those reports. It's going to be a big day tomorrow.
Going to be a big day. So just to kind of look at and put things into context, when we look at this map, right, we go from extreme fear to extreme greed. And so when everybody is, the saying is, when everybody is fearful, buy, right? When everybody is buying, be fearful. So at this time, we have fear, which is 38. If you look up here, the previous close was 31. So that means even the people who bought over here, close to the beginning of the fear area, have probably already made some money, right? Because we are working our way back over this way. So I always like to put this in the context. Extreme fear to me is extreme buy. Fear is just buy, kind of watch. Neutral, kind of hold, kind of see what's going on, which way are we going. Sell, get rid of that thing, because we never know what's going to happen. And if you notice that we stayed inside of greed, look, 1 year ago, greed, 1 month ago, greed, right? And so I think for the last, I can't even say, maybe 100 and something weeks, the market has been on a tear to the north side, where any dip, I don't care if it was a little small dip and you just closed your eyes and hit buy, you was going to make some money. Right. When I tell you the money was out there, but now the market is changing, the sentiment is changing. You kind of got to be careful of what you're doing. And that's all kind of right here. So this is the CNN Fear and Greed Index. You can always go learn a little bit more about this and kind of see how the market reacts when they hit each one. But just another tool in the arsenal. All right. The next one we'll go to is our S&P heat map. Woo! Look at this, y'all. If you go back last week, this was probably all all red, right? And so now it's not as red. We doing a little bit better, but you still want to be able to kind of look at what's going on. So let's kind of look at our color codes at the bottom right here. So our grayer looking stocks, it was not a lot of change. They're still in like 0%. So that'll be like your Meta was 0.14, Apple 0.15. Then you kind of get into your 1%, which is your Googles today, 2% and 3%. And so who did over 3% today? The big dog. Big NVIDIA today came through with the big change. I want to say they went up almost $30, almost $30. And so the biggest piece about this is paying attention to what we talk about, because a lot of the times you can get ahead of this. You can make money while the market is going down, or you can make money while it's going up. But you got to know what's happening. You got to know your levels and all of those pieces. And so today, NVIDIA did have a big jump. But if you look Friday, it was terrible. They were at almost $900. And I want to say 100 and, man, was that like $100 or so that they dropped Friday?
If I recall correctly, it was around $89.
$89 in one day. So just think, if you knew what was going to happen by looking at your chart the night before, and you said, NVIDIA is looking weak, and you bought you a call with a 0.5 delta. 0.5 is $50 per every $1, and you moved $89 and rolled that down. And then you said, wait a minute, we are at a psychological level for NVIDIA. This is usually an area of support. And then you rolled it back up for another $35. That's all you had to do for two days, right? And you are in the bank. And so that's why it's so important to be able to kind of look at this map, kind of see what's happening. Remember what I said, we still got earnings coming up this week. JPM, they had a nice little climb today, almost 2% of what they were. Verizon, if you looked at our chart a few minutes ago, Verizon had earnings today, and look what happened, $38. Now, remember what I said, Verizon pays about $2 almost per share in a dividend, right? So you get 100 of those, you got a nice little chunk of change, but you also don't want to look at something that's depreciating and you just holding on just for the money. So kind of check their earnings today, see what happened, see if they'll kind of go for a bump. If they don't go for a bump, this could be something to look at tomorrow for the downside, right? Because we know that if they go, they may just keep on dropping. We had Netflix the other day. Look at Netflix. Netflix, I was fighting with Netflix at $630 last week. Today, Netflix is $554. Netflix did great on earnings, but what happened? The market did not like the earnings call, which is what we told you is so important for Elon Musk tomorrow. So they still are down almost $100 in the last week. All right. Now we look at some of our Magnificent Seven: Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta. So all of these are not recovered yet, but we did see a little bit of light coming out of that sector. We still got oil and gas, because people are going where the money is, right? So we're looking at Chevron 1.2%. We look at XOM with Exxon. They went up a little bit today, right? So let's see if I can see that Oxy 0.56 today. So $67. I remember fighting with them at 58. So just looking at this heat map, being able to see what's going on. Berkshire, wow, remember I had this at $200, man. Berkshire is still doing their thing. So man, just so much going on today. But this is another way you can kind of get ahead of the market, kind of see what's happening out here. Look at Tesla. They did have a red day today. So as we know, we're looking to see what's going on tomorrow with Tesla. All right. Next, we can look at, and this is our last piece when we're doing our heat check. We want to look at our VIX. So let me see if I can find this. Bam. This is our VIX right here. 1694. This is where they closed today. So if you can look up here today, the VIX started out at about $18. So that means volatility was high, right? Let's look at this red line. And if it breaks this, remember what I said, once we start heading to 20 on the VIX, things get a little different, okay? But by 2 p.m., we had calmed down a little bit, and here we are at the close, 1693. Big day tomorrow. I'm pretty sure this will raise back up. And what the VIX does is it talks about how much volatility is in the market. How likely is it for things to go up and down? Anything you got on that VIX, Jose?
Just keep an eye on it, because if you think about it, it's starting at almost 18 or around 18 today, dropping 177, a 10% drop for VIX, which that is a double digit, almost a $2 drop. That's significant based on where it was at the beginning of the day. That's what's more important here, is that you got the beginning, you got all this, market open, and then bam, we were almost at $20, and then now we're dropping today. One thing I want to add about the market heat check, your S&P 500 SPY has been getting crushed. We're getting on the 1 month chart, the 3 month chart, we are dangerously close to oversold. Just want to put that out there. Apple also on a 3 month and a 6 month oversold. It is the lowest. Apple is the lowest it's been in, this whole year. And so, or a year. So we have definitely some areas to look at to where we could see some bounces here pretty soon.
Hey, always say about it, yep, but make sure you know when, right? When you start seeing it kind of belling out, going sideways, but right now, especially until after Thursday. And so this is what I want to talk about, our market watch. And so this just kind of shows the political calendar of just talking about what's going on, because remember, stocks are influenced by the price. They're influenced by the company's earnings. They're influenced by the board moves. They didn't want to get fired. Is anybody leaving? Insider trading, where you may have people selling, but also the world around us. I think about last week when Israel fired back at Iran. Man, everything was down in the pre-market, in the futures market. Everything was dumping, but kind of realized and assessed the damage. Everything kind of came back up. Still down a little bit from that, but it just kind of showed you when the things around us are crazy, that market goes and drops quickly. So tomorrow, not too much. Not tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday, not too much going on. We got durable goods orders. Not too much of a market mover. But then when we get to Thursday, Q1 GDP. Let's see here. Last time it was 3.4. The median forecast is 2.2. Right now, I think if they can get this to drop just a few points, we may be in a good place. But if it goes anywhere over this, it's gonna be hell to tell. So let's see what's happening. Initial jobless claims. So last time was 212. They're looking at maybe 215. So that just goes to show you about the market, what's happening with our job force, labor force, advanced U.S. trade balance goods, advanced retail inventories. So much that's going on with economic data this Thursday, until I know for sure that I'm not going too heavy with anything until after I get this. If it's anything, I'm in and out in one day. Not too much buying up any of the dips yet, because this has the power to make that dip just keep on dipping. There's 69 bars on this, man. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. All right. So what we'll do, let's take another quick break. And when we get back, we jumping into these candlesticks, y'all. Let's see what's happening. Hello, what we got? Hey, Miranda Ferguson said, teach me how to make big money. I agree with that, man, because what we teaching is the technicals, which is the chart, which is the candlesticks, and where is the money inside those candles. So big shouts out to Miranda for tuning in. We just trying to get it going. So right now we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we will look at more candlestick patterns that is helping us get the bag up. Stay tuned. Oh, Trading Insights with Ortiz. Let's go. Woo! Boy, I get hyped up every time I see that thing, man. All right, y'all. So in this episode here, we have been talking about stock patterns, candlestick patterns. Jose has been dropping so much good information on us for at first we did our bulls. And remember, in the stock market, we have bulls, we have bears, right? Bulls are going up, our bears are taking us down. So he showed you a bunch of bull patterns, reversal patterns, where if the stock market is going down, this candle pattern will signify it's going up. So if you want to see those, and you better be looking, because remember, the stock market is going down now. So who is going to be able to recognize that reversal when we take it up? But right now, since we did all our bulls, let's go back and kind of look at some of our bearish patterns, right? Because the market did a nice run up today. I want to say the SPY went from about 498 to 502. So if you knew those candlesticks, you can look and see that reversal before it was coming. You jump in, get your money. Now, after that, probably around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you start seeing those candlestick patterns that showed it's about to go down. So, Jose, please bless us, man, with some of this knowledge, man.
Let's do it. So, like we've been talking about these candlesticks, let's do a quick review again, like we have been. We use these patterns to buy or sell, giving us trends in the market. We got the body, we got the wicks and the shadows. Here's an example of them again. The high, the close, the open, the low. So, you know, you got your bullish and your bearish candles. As we started talking about these bullish candles, go ahead. We started with the hammer candlestick. There's a good review of what it looks like. It's a single candlestick that is bullish with a long bottom, kind of like a Thor hammer, if you know who that is. Our next one was our morning star, where we had a red one coming from a downtrend, and then a smaller one, and then a larger one from open to close on that time frame. Then we had the bullish engulfing, in which this was typically signaling a reversal, where the green bullish candle engulfs the smaller red one, hence the name. Then we had our 3 inside up, where again we're coming off of a downtrend. Then we have a smaller candle followed by the big one that closes over the red one. And then we started taking the downturn. So our first bearish candle that we did talk about was the evening star. We had the morning star. Now we got the evening star, where, you know, you have your downtrend. I mean, your uptrend is breaking. You kind of have a one in the middle, and then followed by the long bearish red candle. So today we're going into a shooting star. So if you look at the shooting star, it is kind of like a hammer, but it's reversed. So the pattern is prominently bearish. That signals a potential top. Let's say that again, the potential top of a uptrend, which could be marked by resistance. KT's been talking about support and resistance. So usually when you hit that resistance, you're going to see a shooting star candle that looks like the upside down hammer. And this usually signals that the uptrend is coming to an end. So let's take a look at real quick the body. It's a small, real body, either bullish or bearish. Now keep in mind, it can be green. It can be green, but the difference is that it's inverted from a hammer candle. So it is it has the long upper shadow with little to no lower shadow on the bottom, and it has a long tail. That's why we call it a shooting star, because it looks like a shooting star going through the sky, even though I think it looks like the hammer, in reverse. So the small lower body, and it's situated at the lower portion of the candle. So keep that in mind. For it to be this type of pattern, that big, that the whatever the body is, it's small and it's at the bottom. So then you have the upper shadow, which could be twice the length of the body, kind of flares out at the top, and then you have a very short lower shadow, or there may not be one at all. So that is signaling when the market is turning, trending, usually at the top of a uptrend, which signals that we are now ready to reverse and lose steam. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Again, you have your open and close. It's very low, center to the ground. See, these right here do not actually have anything at the bottom. And so that's what it would typically be. So think about what you see when it comes to the uptrend going up and then followed by one of these shooting stars. And so now you're going to start to see the market turn. Here we could see it in the chart. See how we have the uptrend followed by that shooting star. And then we start the red, 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 red. So keep in mind that candle can be red or green, but take a close look at it to see what the size is. It's got a very small body with a long shadow at the top. So that usually signals that we are now starting a downtrend. If you look at this picture, you see a green candle next to it. I want you to think to yourself that that candle that is next to the shooting star can be green or red as well, but this is gonna start your downtrend though. So you might get a small pop on the next candle, but keep in mind that once you see these shooting stars, your downtrend is going to begin. And then now our last picture here that we have, as you can see, we did have the uptrend. It was continuing to go, and then at the very end, we had 4 green candles, followed by the shooting star. And so we dropped with the red. So now we're going to begin a downtrend on that particular chart. So there you go. You have another bearish candle to think about. We're going to have one more bearish candle next week before we start getting into actual candlestick patterns as far as what to look for, things that are called in the market. Keep in mind, remember that we don't use these alone. Keep in mind that we've learned resistance, support. We've talked about MACD. We've talked about your 20-day, your 9-day, your 16-day moving averages. We've talked about your relative strength index or your RSI. No matter what kind of trader you are, short-term, long-term, mid-term, you have to, get familiar with those patterns like KT's been talking about in the platform probing. Everything that you see on a chart is made up of candlesticks. Get familiar with what these candlesticks look like. But those aren't the only things on a chart because, you don't have candles in isolation on a chart. You have a group of candles. So now that you've identified, or we've identified, some of those bullish candles, some of those bearish candles, now after we get through this one last bearish candle, we can start to see groups of candles together that create a particular pattern, and how that relates to our RSI, MACD, support, resistance, and our moving averages. So all of that works together. So we're giving you chunks to be familiar with, because I could say candlestick patterns and I can start talking about head and shoulders, or I can do cup and handle. But if you don't know what a bearish or a bullish candle looks like, and some of the technical terms that come with it being bearish and what it looks like, then none of those patterns will make sense to you. And again, you don't use those in isolation, or we don't. I don't. I know KT doesn't. We're always talking about other aspects or technical terms that we use in the market. And I believe still got that book on here, here toward the end. If you want to go out and get this book, Charting and Technical Analysis, it'll give you a real good picture of these candlesticks and all the patterns that we'll be talking about coming up soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Awesome information. Like I say, the biggest thing is the candles always will tell you a story, right? So you look over here. If it's coming up from the bottom, that means we still have buyers. Look at this long one. Now we had a few sellers step in, then we had a few more sellers step in. Now we got a fight. We got sellers, we got buyers, sellers, buyers. Look at buyers won, and then it got real. You can start seeing that things are getting ready to turn, right? So we got mostly buyers and sellers, not that many buyers, few more sellers. Look at your pattern. Look how long that wick is, by short this one at the bottom. Then right here, that lets you know, wait a minute, the sellers have taken over, because now we have our candlestick going down to the bottom. Like Jose said, that's our shooting star. And so then we just got a fight going from there, right? So this is something we can look at. Let's go over to, we'll stop right there and we'll go over to, I like to pull it up and look at the charts, right? So today on the SPY, my God. And I want to show you, because we got a few more minutes, so I can't get too deep into the platform probing, but I just want you to be able to kind of look, and this is what the thinking looks like, right? So we talked about our EMAs. We have the 8. Well, I will talk about what I use. I know Jose uses something different, but let's kind of look at the way I would play today out in my head, okay? So the market opened right here at 9:30. What I always do, and if you go back to a few episodes, we talked about the VWAP. The VWAP is the volume weighted average price. I'm going to come over to my trading view. Can you see this, Jose?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to come over to my trading view. I got the anchor VWAP. Every morning, I am going to go over to my first candle of the day, and I'm going to go bam, and I'm going to hit my VWAP. Remember what I said? This is going to tell me when their price is going to go. And so this red line is my VWAP, right? You see how it came back down to the VWAP at the end of the day? And what happened? It bounced right off that VWAP. So that lets you know that's where buyers are, that's where sellers are. And now let's kind of look at our EMAs, because remember what I told you. These EMAs show you, the red is going to show you when people are buying and the stock is going up. I mean, going down. The blue is going to show you when people are buying and it's going up. I apologize. So now let's look over here and we look at our EMA. So right now we can see that we're on an uptrend, and we know we're on an uptrend because this is called a gap right here, right? And so the market gap from 495 all the way up to 497. So we can say, okay, looks like we're going up today. And my EMA, which is the blue, is on top. That tells me things are going up. But then if I go over here, I can say, okay, I'll buy a little bit. But now what is this telling me right here? It's saying sell. So I know that buyers are about to start coming in. So now I'm paying attention. I'm looking at my EMA. If you're following that blue line, and then what happens? Bam, the line just closed. This telling me now it's time to make money with this stock going down. And what happens? I get that red line. Now my EMAs right up in this area have crossed over each other. This telling me that this stock is now about to start going down. I follow this red line, and now I'm looking. And if you can see right here, what is this right here? Did we just talk about this pattern? So remember what Jose said, it could be red, it could be green, but that lets me know that it is still rough out here in these streets. So then that's what they did. They try to hit us with a little fake out breakout, but it didn't work because we smarter than it, right? We look right here. I know it's not time, right? My EMA is barely crossed over. So I'm going to wait it out because that's not a crucial level. And then what happened? As soon as we start getting this candle, look what happened. I start crossing back over. But then what happened? I got this candle right here. And we'll talk more about these type of candles. But this candle signifies confusion. We don't know if we want to go up or we don't want to go down. We don't buy here. But we're able to pay attention. And then look what's happening. Now look at the wicks through all of these at the top. If you can see the wicks at the top, This tells me selling pressure, selling pressure, selling pressure. All of these signify that sellers are still in the building. It is a case of a big fight between bulls and bears. And then who won? Bears won. Look at this dip. So I'll kind of bring it out a little bit. You can kind of see. But oh my God. Look what happened down here at the bottom. Now, I want you to look at my VWAP, right? So we got pulled a little bit out the VWAP, but then as we hit the last band of this VWAP, right here, we got the reversal. If you go back and you look at our patterns for bullish patterns, you will see something like this happening. And then what happened? We got the takeoff. My EMA has crossed. I did a little dip, but did the EMA cross over again? No, it did not. So if that EMA did not cross over, we're going to keep on holding. And lo and behold, what happened today, people? We had a nice little trip all the way up. And so this is where you could have made some money if you were out there trying to get that bag today. And then what happened? We had a little dip, but remember what I said. Look at my VWAP. This is why that VWAP is so important. What happened when it touched the VWAP? It bounced. It bounced again, right? Because I want to look at it. When it touched that VWAP, is it going to break? No, it did not. It bounced. And what happened again? We went back up for some more money. And then after that, y'all, look, we still going up. Now, the key to today was looking at $500. Anytime inside of the market, your round numbers are always your big psychological numbers. And so for Tesla, 150 is a psychological number, right? For SPY, 500 is a psychological number. For NVIDIA, 800 is a psychological number. All of these numbers kind of tell you, wait and see what happens at that number. Don't just buy and run through, because it could drop, it could not. But you got to be ready. So then what happens? We get some information up here today. Let's see if I can push this out and show you the candle that we just talked about. So all of these, okay, I don't see any, but we still see what's happening. We still got selling pressure. Boom, right there. That's what we talked about. Got another one right there. Another one right there. All of those are inverted hammers. So that tells us it's getting ugly out here. We had one where buyers tried to come in, but they weren't strong enough. So then we look at the next candle, and all of these candles, this is our 1 minute time frame. So these candles are happening every 1 minute. Let's go back out and look every 15 minutes, right? And we're able to see what happened today. So every 15 minutes, we're still getting all of that pressure over here. More brine pressure down to our VWAP. Look at that little dot under there. That shows that we're still bouncing off that VWAP. So much pressure. So tomorrow, what we're looking at, y'all, is we got still a lot of things going on. We don't have any economic data that will move that tape. But tomorrow, Tesla earnings is weighing so heavy on the S&P, so heavy on the market sentiment, that we kind of got to watch what's going on. We had a big decline today, and we ended the day at $499.79. Remember that 500 is almost like a magnet, right? So we're being drawn to it. Either we're under it or we're on top of it. But remember, this 500 is very, very important to the hustle. So most of the time in the mornings, you'll be able to do it. But remember what I taught you all last week. Resistance. Here we go. Wait a minute. So we got our support and resistance. Remember what I said. If I just come here, because it's not hard to find that support and resistance. So I guarantee you, I can draw a line right here. Let's see here. Right here. Draw that horizontal line right there. And watch how many times that stock moved inside of this line. Right? So look, we had a fight at the line right here. We had a fight at the line right here. We had a fight at the line right here. Right? And if we keep going back, I guarantee you we'll find where there were fights all day at that line. I can do another line right here, and I guarantee you there'll be fights at that line. So that's pretty much the thought process of how today would have went. That's what I would have been looking at. I'm going to look at my EMAs crossing over, and then I'm going to look at when I get my buy signals. When I get that buy signal, that is only one confluence. Remember what we said, before I make a move in that market, I want to look at 3 confluences, right? I want to look at what is the price telling me? Is this support and resistance? What is my EMAs? What are my EMAs doing? And finally, what does this buy signal tell me? Is it time, right? So keep going back. If you got any questions on that, go back through the podcast. You'll be able to kind of look and see what we was talking about with the previous information. And I think that'll do that for that platform probing, man. That was kind of a little impromptu platform probing, but I wanted people to kind of see some of those, some of the candlestick patterns that we talked about. If you go back through, you'll be able to see all the bullish engulfing candles. You'll be able to see the bearish engulfing candles because the money is inside of those charts. You just have to keep going. Consistency, slow and steady wins the race. Jose, man, I always do, man. That was so good. It extending this thing. That was so safe.
That was good stuff, man. That was good stuff.
So, and anything before we get ready to close this thing out?
Nah, man, I think you did a good job with that section right there, man.
Hey, well, look, we just gotta look, man. The money is out here, people. We just gotta kind of look at how it's gonna go. I think that will do it for this week. Please follow us, the Administrators Podcast. We on Instagram. If you go down there, administrators_23. Go and check the YouTube page, Administrators. So much good work out here, so much information. Make sure you stay locked in with us. We will be back next week. We got another trading pattern before we get into a few different things. We'll also kind of recap what happened with Tesla's earnings because we're going to be big. But let's look and see if we get any other things on the sentiment. This is KT, one half of KT and
JoJo.
Hey, Administrators Podcast. We'll see y'all next week. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV. Is that right?